Well, what's up, you guys? Hope you guys had a wonderful Monday. I definitely did. AMC absolutely had a wonderful Monday. It finished up 13.19%, roughly about $1.30 and change, roughly, for the day. It had an absolutely bullish day, and I mean, we did have a bullish catalyst last night of the AMC movie theaters and dealing with Vince Diesel, hoping Fast and Furious 9 is going to be promoting it and promoting movie theaters within Fast and Furious 9. So we definitely did have that news catalyst last night that really helped with the stock, but we had a really, really strong day. And overall, when we take a look at it here on the intraday and look at this morning, we actually had a gap up this morning from $10 to roughly about 10.70, which was huge. We did give a little bit of that back, and then it had some nice consolidation before we had another rip up and then had some consolidation into the open. But we opened at 10.69. And the only time that we really got the test at 10.50 resistance was literally right at the open. And then after that, we kissed it pretty much goodbye. And just to give you an idea of where that 10.50 resistance is, it's going to be right here. And we didn't even touch that today. Like technically our intraday low happened in the pre-market, which was 10.41, which is crazy to think about because AMC on Friday closed at 9.99 and today we're opening at 10.69. That is huge for the stock. We blew past $10. We blew past 10.50 and we didn't really even touch it today, which is a huge thing. And before we dive into this more, if you guys can, do me a favor, drop a like on this video. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you ring that bell also. It really helps me out with this video. But anyways, back to this. We had a nice rip off of the open. We did give it a little bit of it back. But the nice thing was we had this slow growth throughout the day. And then we had a really strong rip later in the afternoon, pretty much right after about lunchtime. Lunchtime hour, normally you see some consolidation. You don't see large, strong moves because a lot of people aren't trading stocks. They're eating lunch or whatever kind of thing. So we did have this large rip, and then we did give back a good bit of it. But the huge thing I want to point out here was yesterday I was talking about this 11.30 range. I'm going to put the support line here. This 11.30, 11.25 range was really where I was looking for us opening today to test and test 10.50 also, but we really didn't test 10.50. We really just broke up through this, and we broke up through it and actually never really tested it at all. We got close here at the close. We got around 11.34, but we never touched 11.30. And the other thing that I'm going to be looking for tomorrow is how we're going to deal with this 11.90 range. Really between 11.90 and 11.80 is like a level of resistance for AMC. And it definitely got above it today because we had our intraday high of 11.96, but we got rejected off of it. So we really couldn't quite make that $12 mark for the stock. But looking actually at the after hours, I normally say don't take the after hours for anything, but we actually had a nice rip up here and closed the after hours at 11.67. So we're up even 1.48% in the after hours, which is really strong movement. So the thing that I'm going to be looking for tomorrow is how are we going to open? Are we going to be at 11.67? Are we going to be around 11.30? Where are we going to be at? Because that will really drive the day. I do think this is the bearish side of me. I do think we do need to come down here and test this 10.50 support right now and validate that it is a good, strong support for us. The fact that we barely touched it today is a very bullish day, and we did have a very bullish day. But we do need to keep in mind, we do want to test our supports to make sure that they are good supports and we don't fall through them. The other thing is, if we open up tomorrow above 11.30, I'm going to look at 11.30 and say, all right, what are we going to do with 11.30? Are we going to bounce off of it and then have a nice rip up? Or are we going to break down and through that support? And then we're going to have to regain it as a support, and because it turned into a resistance, what are we going to have to do there? Because that's one of the target points that I'm looking at. But really, the bullish sentiment of me thinks tomorrow 11.90 is going to be something that I'm going to be looking at. And I'm going to pay a very close attention to because 11.90, we got rejected off of it today. And when we zoom out here to the 5-day, we'll get to it on the month time frame, but really 1190 is one of those points of if we can get above it, we really can start moving. We got above 1130 today, which is good, and we got above 1050, which is really good. Those two moves alone are very bullish for one day, and we were up 13%. So do keep in mind, if we do have a little bit of a consolidation day or a slightly negative day, it's perfectly fine. And the reason why I say that is because we went up 13% today. That is a very large move on a stock. Most stocks normally move 4 to 5% within a given day. So when we take a look here at Friday, you can literally see that we pretty much traded flat the whole entire day versus today. We're above the 20-day moving average. We're above the 60-day moving average. We're above the 120-day moving averages. These are all past indicators, but these indicators indicate the price movement over a 20-day, 60-day, and 120-day period. So keep that in mind. When we do take a look at the RSI down here, we're sitting at 66.70. So the RSI is ranked from 30 to 70. When you trade in between that channel, it's within a relatively good healthy stock. When you get above that, it's considered overbought. And when you get below 30, it's considered oversold kind of thing. So that's what the RSI stands for, the relative strength index. So that's what the RSI is. We have the MACD down here, which helps indicate volatility and also can be a bullish or bearish indicator for us. So the fact that the RSI is sitting here at 66.70 in the after hours, when we closed, we were sitting at 44.82, so we were just sitting below neutral. We did have a bearish signal here on the MACD because we did have that turnover right here at 3:20 Eastern Standard Time. So that would have been this candle right here. So do keep in mind, we did see a lot of stocks randomly start selling off at 3:30 today, which was a really odd thing. And I haven't been able to point a finger at what causes. I have not found a news catalyst. I have not found anything that says why everything literally sold off at 3:30 today. And if it's not just AMC, it's not just Palantir, it's not Tesla, it's not all the the meme stocks. This happened with the SPY, it happened with the NASDAQ, it happened with the Dow Jones, it happened with everything. So it's really interesting to me. But taking a look here at the 5-day time frame, really we can see our movement and how strong the stock has been over the past 5 days. And we're really riding an upwards trend right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab our low from 5 days ago. I'm just going to highlight this trend line because you can really just see right here. You can really just see we've been moving in an upward direction. Yeah, we do have periods of consolidation, but consolidation is good for a stock. It is healthy. It helps reset the indicators. It helps drop down implied volatility. And really today with our strong move, we're going to see implied volatility go up because it was a very strong move for a stock, especially when you move more than 10% in one day. So keep that in mind when you're buying your options contract, that implied volatility is going to be a little bit higher, and implied volatility is priced into each and every single options contract. So if a price doesn't change, but the volatility does drop, you will see that reflected in your options contract. So anyways, let's hop out here to the 1 month, 1 hour. Let's actually go out to the 4-hour time frame. So the huge thing is we got rejected off of 1190 today. And you can see back here on the 26th, we actually tested it. And then back here on the 10th, we tried to test it several times. And then back here on the 25th of, this is March. And then back here on the 25th of February, we can also see that we tried to test 1190 and we got rejected every single time. So this is definitely a level of resistance for us. So when we're moving forward tomorrow, and if we're opening up at 1167, I'm going to be looking at 1130 and seeing if we find support there. And then I'm also going to be looking at 1190 because once we get above 1190, you can see we literally just popped and we went running right to 14 bucks. So it is definitely very possible for this stock, if we get above 1190, to just run wild like MVIS did today. Speaking of MVIS, good lord, that stock just moved, but it printed massive tendies for everyone. The huge thing I want to highlight here is on the 1 month chart. We're oversold here on the RSI, which is Not surprising considering we had a 13% day that we literally moved. Also, when we were looking at this RSI yesterday, I believe we were sitting around like 65, 67-ish. So we really didn't have that far to go before we were considered overbought. My bad, I said oversold and I meant overbought, not oversold. The other thing to take a look at here is we do have a bullish indicator on the MACD, which is good. The fact that we have a bullish indicator here, we're overbought essentially. This all indicates that we are in bullish territory. What validates it even more is taking a look at all three of these trend lines here, the moving average 20, the moving average 60, and the moving average 120. Keep in mind, these are all past indicators, so they only indicate the past movement, but they don't indicate moving forward in the future, but they can help us determine what we're looking like. And when you take a look at these three lines, we're trading above all three of them, which is phenomenal. So that confirms that we are even more in bullish territory. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to adjust this trend line here a little bit, grab this in, and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to pull it out. So really you can see, and actually, no, let's delete that trend line and let's go back here from our low of 831. And you can really just see the trend line that we're starting the ride. This is the trend line that we're riding. And when I make trend lines, I want to look for 3 points where at least it touches. And I use wicks as touch points. I could use solid bodies too. So we could adjust this candle. We could adjust this trend line up a little bit and we could touch more solid candles. But I literally look for 3 points of support. So one right here being 831, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 touch points on this trend line, which validates that it is good. Now keep in mind, technical analysis isn't exact. It isn't an X and O's kind of thing. It's more of an art. It's kind of understanding a chart, looking at the movement of a stock, and then just kind of drawing things in. So this is what I'm seeing, and this is kind of how I look at it. Now, the huge thing that I like about the month view is this really gives us a macro perspective of where we've been over the past month. And when we take a look at where we've been over the past month, we were at 831 on the 13th. So 13 days ago, almost 2 weeks ago, we were trading at $8 and everyone was going, oh, this is so dead. This is so dead. This is dead. AMC's dead. It's not going to squeeze. Nothing's going to squeeze. And we had a bunch of FUD and we had a bunch of people thinking that this wasn't going to squeeze. We have to remember the stock market is a device of transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. That was famously said by Warren Buffett. And it shows in this picture because if we waited 2 weeks and we bought at 831, we would see the nice benefit of trading at $11.50 today, $11.67 in the after hours. So keep that in mind. Be patient with the stock market. It is not something that is just going to flip a switch and you can make money. Sure, MVIS printed a crap ton of tendies for people today, but if you're holding shares and you're not doing options, holding shares is a long-term investment within a company. And you got to keep that in mind. This is long-term investing. This isn't meant to be short-term. So just keep that in mind. Also remember, I am not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. This is purely just my opinion. So let's hop over here actually and cover Ortex because I really want to cover Ortex. So what Ortex does is it gives me short information from prime brokers. This isn't from hedge funds. This isn't from anything. It's from a prime broker. So it's reliable information. And keep in mind with what we're getting here in Ortex is the absolute minimum. Ortex doesn't account for ETF shares, ETF shorts, naked shorting, or any of those kinds of things. So it doesn't account for those. So this is the bare minimum that we are dealing with, guys. So keep that in mind, please. But the estimated short interest change was up 0.32% today, which is actually pretty significant. Once again, we did set another all-time high of shares on loan of 154.51 million shares. Now, I'm going to do this again. We hop back here to Webull and we take a look at our free float. Our free float is 417 million shares. 154,510,000 of them are on loan for short positions. That is significant. That is a lot of outstanding short interest within a stock. So keep that in mind. Today alone, 3.24 million shares were borrowed. 2.74 of them 2.74 million of them were returned, which gives us about an outstanding balance of 494,000 shares. So 494,000 shares gets added to the shares to loan. Our utilization still at 100%, didn't change at all. Our cost to borrow is only going up. 11 days, it's not 11 days ago. I looked at the number. 7 days ago, our cost to borrow was 7.23. Now it's sitting at 11.09, which is huge. Our days to cover is increasing. Remember how I've said, days to cover is not reflective of our daily volume. It's reflective of the shares on loan divided by the 3-month volume. So this 154 million, 154.51 million. And if we hop back over here to the Webull and take a look at our 3-month volume, it's 147.35 million. Now you have to keep in mind, this is accounting for the run-up that we had in March. Our volume, if we hop here to the day chart, is a lot different. Today, it was actually up substantially than what it was on Friday. We had 77 million shares traded today, but on Friday, we only had 27 million shares. So these numbers are literally substantially different than the 147.35 million shares that were traded. So we're looking, we hop back over here to Ortex, we're easily looking at, just based off of today's volume, let's just roughly estimate here. We're looking at roughly 2 days to cover because we're taking the 77 million, putting that into 154. We're looking at easily 2-point-something days to cover, which is significant. That means the shorts only wanted to cover in today's volume. It would take them 2 days to cover. Now, if we used Friday's volume, it gets even more crazy. So we take, I'm gonna have to pull up a calculator here. Give me a second. If we take 154 and we divide it by 27, we're looking at 5.7 days for Friday's volume. So it's immensely different. That's the reason why when I see this days to cover number, I take it with a grain of salt. And remember, take what I also say with a grain of salt, because this is purely just my opinion and purely just me going off a technical analysis. So our days to cover is sitting at 2 based off of today's volume. If we go back down to 27 million, that's a lot. We're looking at a significant long period of time for shorts just to cover. And with shorts just covering their position and no one buying, keep that in mind. That is literally just short saying, okay, we need to cover our position. Let's go. So really huge thing. Like AMC, like people keep asking me, can AMC squeeze? Yes, AMC can absolutely squeeze. We need multiple variables that come together for this to squeeze and actually happen. Now keep that in mind. Just because we have a high short interest doesn't mean we're going to squeeze. We need more than just that for the squeeze to happen. Now, I don't know what time frame we're looking at for a squeeze, but I can definitely tell you after today, the hedge funds are definitely feeling the pain of the longs because we had a significant move. We're above $10. And if you remember a couple days ago, there was an article that was published saying that it costs the shorts roughly like $50 million a day for the stock to be above $10. So you know they are very quickly running out of money. $50 million a day. I don't have that kind of money. I wish I had that kind of money, but you know they're running through it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we keep this momentum up. We're just going to increase the pain on them, and it's going to really start causing pain. And it's going to get to a point where they're going to have to put their hands up and they're going to have to say, we got to cover our position because this is literally costing us too much to have these shares outstanding. We have to cover our position. And personally, when that day happens, I think it's 10D time, boys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.